file the notice of appearance in this case, as well as the stipulated order of continuance case. And that's cause number 9014798, and we'll reset both of these to December 15th. We'll enter the waiver.
Thank you.
Give you copies of these documents here today. Conclude your case. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Honor, can I call one more case?
Yes.
Melanie Slatina. And I haven't put in a formal notice of appearance, but I think she's gonna call me, so she's asking for a continuance, and she signed the waiver, which I'll hand up, for the same date, December 15th, and I'll let her address the court on everything else.
Right. Yes, sir. Tina, you're here today on a charge of shoplifting. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted of that offense, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You do have a number of constitutional rights that were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
Given the comments by Ms. Eller, it sounds like you want to enter a plea of not guilty, so I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You did appear here today on a summons, so you will be released on your own recognizance on the following conditions. You're not to have any criminal violations or incidents. You're to make all your court dates. You're to contact your attorney and maintain contact with your attorney while this case is pending. You're not to return to Walmart. Do you understand that?
Yes.
We have an address on Mission Ridge in Pasco. Is that still current?
Yes.
We have handed forward a waiver in this case. We will reset this matter to December 15th. Provide your copies of these documents here today. Once you receive those, you'll be free to go. Let's finish this.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. We have some paperwork for you, and then you're free to go.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Anceno, please come forward to the table with the microphone.
Acérquese a la mesa, no está el micrófono, por favor.
Good afternoon. You are here today on a charge of driving a license suspended in the 3rd degree. That is a misdemeanor. If convicted of that offense, you do face up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. You do have a number of constitutional rights. Those rights were played before court started. You were able to hear and understand those rights? Do you have any questions about those rights?
Yep. Not guilty.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorneys today. After doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request a court-appointed attorney. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Reviewing your application, find that you do qualify to appoint Mr. Libbert to represent you. You will be provided with his contact information. He did appear here today following the recall of a warrant. Because you did appear here today, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. There are conditions on your release that include the following. You're not to have any criminal violations. You're not to drive without a license or insurance. You're to make all your court dates. Your next court date is November 30th. You have an address on West Bonneville. Is that a current address?
Pero ahí no recibo correspondencia, estoy en P.O. Box. But I don't get mail there, I don't have a P.O. Box.
What is your P.O.
¿Cuál
box?
es su P.O. Box? 2974. 2974.
In Pasco.
¿En Pasco? Sí. Yes.
This is a driving offense, and there were some infractions that were issued along with this driving offense. Typically, you would have to send in a response to the infraction that you received. That means you would have to either request a hearing or pay the amount of the fine that is indicated on the citation. Because you are here today, I would give you the opportunity to address that infraction today. We can set it to track with the other case, or you can resolve it today. I would suggest you set it with the other case.
Está bien, that's fine. You will
I'm going to give you a copy of your driver's abstract along with the other documents. You are required to contact your attorney within the next 10 days and maintain contact with that attorney while this case is pending. That means make appointments with the attorney so that you can talk to him about this case. Don't just wait for your court dates. Understand that?
You're welcome. You just throw these in the back. Yes. Yes.
You can have a seat right there in the audience, and Mr. Green will bring the paperwork to you. I'm Mondragon Cortez.
Sorry, Your Honor, was that Mondragon that you called?
Yes.
Good afternoon. You're here today on a charge of malicious harassment. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted of that offense, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that? You do have a number of rights that were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights?
Who is this?
Do you have any questions about those rights?
Mondragon?
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney. After doing so, you indicated you wish to plead not guilty and you request the court appoint an attorney. I will appoint an attorney, enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. That attorney's name is Mr. Matthew Rutt. Bail has been posted in this case. Mr. Hanson, any other comments regarding conditions of release?
Yes, Your Honor. The city would ask that Mr. Mondragon not return to any Goodwills or Goodwill Employment Centers, not have any contact with or discuss the facts of the case with the alleged victim or witnesses. With that, ask that the $500 bail that was posted remain.
All right, Mr. Hanson is indicating that in addition to the bail that you have posted, he's requesting that you not return to any Goodwill or Goodwill centers and have no contact with their employees.
Está bien, eso yo lo entiendo, nunca he
That's
regresado.
fine, I understand that.
Desde que se me acusó de esto, nunca me he parado, nunca más.
Since I was charged with this, I have never gone back.
All right, I'm going to make that a condition as well. You are required to contact your attorney and maintain contact with your attorney while this case is pending. Mr. Mondragon, we've sent notice to 3 different addresses in order to try to get you here. Each of them have been returned because there's either no such number or it's been insufficient information. What is your current address?
Hasta 705 Shoshone Street, en Pasco, Washington. Sí, y lo que pasa es que trabajo para contratistas a veces y salgo a Oregon.
I work for contractors, sometimes I go to Oregon.
Y dan cabinas allá me quedo hasta que termina la temporada.
And sometimes I stay down there until the season is over.
Pero ahorita ya estoy aquí,
But now I'm back.
ahorita ya voy a trabajar local aquí en Pasco.
I'm gonna be working here locally in Pasco.
All right, we'll indicate your address is 705 West Shoshone in Pasco. We'll provide you with the information for your attorney as well as these conditions of release. Your next court date is November 30th. Contact your attorney within the next 10 days. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Sí, está bien. ¿Puedes dar el número de teléfono?
We will provide you with his contact information.
Sí, está bien. Gracias.
You're welcome. Leo Mendoza. Good afternoon, Mr. Mendoza. Please stand in front of the microphone on that table right there.
Good afternoon.
Yes, thank you. Right there is good enough. As long as you speak in a normal or voice, that will pick up your responses. Sir, you're here today on a charge of disorderly conduct. That is a misdemeanor. If convicted of that, you do face up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You do have a number of rights as a result of this charge. Those rights were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you handed forward this two-page document. It's an agreed stipulation and order of continuance.
Yeah.
Have you read through this with the attorney? You understand that this document is like a contract. In this contract, you waive a number of rights. In addition, you agree to either do or not do a number of things. The things you agree to do is to pay the cost of $200, and you agree to have no criminal violations during the next 24 months. You are also waiving a number of constitutional rights. What that means is that if this agreement is revoked or terminated, and the way that would happen is if you get a new criminal charge or you don't make the payments in order to satisfy the terms of this,
Yeah.
the only thing that would happen is a judge would read the police reports and make a determination of either guilty or not guilty based on the reports and nothing else. You couldn't later say, well, I want a trial, or I want to challenge the evidence, or I want to testify or call witnesses. You understand that?
Yes, I understand.
And did you enter into this agreement voluntarily?
Yes.
At the end of 24 months, if you successfully complete the terms of this matter would be dismissed. So we'll set a review date.
Your Honor, if I can ask, since I didn't have a chance to review that, was anger management evaluation and recommended treatment marked on the SOC?
It was not.
That was supposed to be part of the offer, as well as to not a formal no contact order, but a condition that he not have contact with the neighbor involved in this, Mr. Ayala. No AI. Excuse me, no.
Right, and I would ask Mr. Mendoza, did the provisional attorney talk to you about an anger management program?
No,
No?
but I'm currently going to counseling right now. I've been going for 8 years, so I have a paper too that I got PTSD, and I got the paper with me if I need it.
All right. Mr. Hanson, he indicates he's currently engaged in some treatment to help deal with his post-traumatic stress disorder.
That would be sufficient, Your Honor. If you can mark continue current counseling and provide proof on the SOC, that would be sufficient.
As part of this agreement, and Mr. Mendoza, if you wish to go talk to the provisional attorney, I'll give you that opportunity as well. But Mr. Hanson has indicated that originally he was asking for anger management and for you to follow that recommendation. But he is indicating that if you continue with your post-traumatic stress disorder treatment, that would be sufficient. Is that something you want to agree to, or do you want to talk to the provisional attorney about that?
No, I can agree to it. And if you want, I got a copy for me and a copy for you if you need it.
Oh, I don't want to enter those into this record because that becomes a record of the court, and those are public, and I don't want to enter your medical information into a public record.
Okay, that works.
But you will have to show at the end of the 24 months that you did maintain compliance with this treatment. So you'll want to share that with Mr. Hanson.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
So to share with them, I just bring it into the courtroom, or?
You can, we'll provide you with, we have his, Mr. Hanson's contact information anywhere.
Mr. Hansen's?
Yes.
Not that I know. I don't believe we do.
I'm taking his phone number.
I'm not sure if Your Honor would be all right with writing our address on Mr. Mendoza's copy of the SOC. That way you can drop off the documents or mail them to us.
Do that. Mr. Hanson, can you go ahead and give me your office address?
Yes, it is 410 North Neal Street, which is NEEL, Suite A, and that's in Kennewick. zip code 99336.
All right. I can do that. And Mr. Mendoza, we have an address for you on Municipal-Court, is that correct?
Yeah, 5305.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we are gonna set a review date in October, set that for October 25. (2022), that's at 8:30 in the morning.
So will this paper still help me out, or do I get a fresh one from the company?
Pardon me?
Would I do I get a new one, or? do I-
We're not gonna take those copies. What you'll wanna do is forward copies to Mr. Hansen's office.
Oh,
I've
okay.
included his address here on this form, as well as your address. We're gonna continue this to that October review date.
Okay.
You will not get any notice of that review hearing. That date's contained in this document, of which you'll get a copy today.
Okay.
It is
Your Honor.
important to maintain a current address with the court, because if it is necessary to set some other hearing, we would send you notice, and a failure to appear at a hearing could result in a warrant for your arrest. You understand that?
Yeah.
With regard to the $200, how do you want to pay that, sir? Do you want to make monthly payments?
Yeah, that's okay.
Can you pay $25 a month?
Yeah, that's fine.
Start those on November 27th.
Your Honor, when Mr. Mendoza forwards those records, if he kindly would just put his case number on top of it, that would help us tremendously in getting it to the right file, which is the XZ number.
All right. You mean the report number from the Pasco Police Department? Or do you want the cause number?
No, yeah, the court cause number. So the XZ ending in 826. If he can write that on his documents, it helps us locate his file so we can ensure that we have those documents in the right file.
I know Mr. Hansen is requesting that if you provide anything to their office, that you include this case number. It's that XZ06588826 number with any correspondence, so that they can get it to the proper file.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to give you copies of this order today. That'll conclude your hearing. Once you receive these documents, you are free to go.
Oh, okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, having taken care of the Spanish-speaking cases, I'll direct some comments to the balance of the individuals who are present. If you're here today and you have a driving offense, that is a driving license suspended, or some type of offense that involved a criminal traffic offense wherein perhaps some infractions were issued as well, you have the right to have a hearing on those. Because you're here today, I'll give you an opportunity to address those. You can request they be set along with the criminal case to be resolved with the criminal matter, or if you wish to treat it some other way, you can let me know as well. But I certainly would recommend at the very least they be set along with the criminal case so you don't overlook them. I will address with each individual whether or not you've been able to hear and understand the constitutional rights that are played before court started. I'll also discuss with you the importance of contacting your attorney, whether that attorney is appointed or you retain an attorney. It is important that you discuss this case with them outside of the courtroom, that you meet with them to give them an opportunity to appropriately address your cases and give it the time that it deserves. If you wait till the day of court, that means everybody sits around for an extended period of time, waiting for everybody else to finish talking to their attorney before these cases move along. So it slows a number of things down. In addition to that, it's a requirement of the conditions of release that you stay in touch with your attorney and that you contact your attorney and make appointments with your attorney. A failure to do that could result in some negative consequence to you, because if you're not contacting your attorney, I certainly know where I can put you so that they can find you in order to move your case along. So it's important that you stay in touch and you make appointments with your attorney.
There are still a few people out in the hall, Your Honor.
All right.
I'll try to make them. Yes.
We'll call next Mr. Jorge Perez. I will note for the record that the motor vehicle theft tools, that matter was been requested to be dismissed by the prosecutor, so I will dismiss that charge today. Mr. Perez, you're here today on a charge of possession of stolen property and unlawful conduct, possession of drug paraphernalia. Those are criminal violations. If convicted of the paraphernalia, you face up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for the possession of stolen property, but there is a mandatory minimum sentence of 1 day in jail for the possession of control or paraphernalia. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about those rights that you have or those comments I made before calling your case?
No, sir.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request the court appoint an attorney. I will appoint an attorney and enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Probable cause has been found regarding these cases, or these charges, excuse me. We did appear here today. On a summons, so I'm going to release you on your own recognizance on the condition that you have no criminal violations. You make all your court dates, you contact your attorney and maintain contact with your attorney. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Continue this case to November 30th.
Is there any way I can get it longer? Because I live in Wenatchee and I have no form of transportation. And I just started a job.
You'll need to talk to your attorney, okay?
Okay.
And I see a address on North Grover Place in East Wenatchee. That's your current
That's
address?
correct. Yes, sir.
All right. And the zip code there is 99807?
98802.
98802.
That's correct.
Right, we'll provide you with your attorney's contact information. Also, these conditions of release. Once you receive those, you can step down. I do have a seat. Mr. Green will bring that to you. Thank you. Maritza Sanchez.
Sanchez.
Good afternoon. Ms. Sanchez, you're here today on a charge of destruction or removal of property, domestic violence. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted of that offense, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that? Is that a yes?
I do.
You do have a number of rights. They were played before court. Any question about those rights? You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request the court appoint an attorney. I will appoint Mr. Liver to represent you and enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Mr. Hanson, any comments regarding conditions of release in this case?
Yes, Your Honor, we'd ask for standard conditions that she have no criminal law violations, make all future court dates, no domestic incidents. Though not specifically requested, I can see in the PC statement. The city is going to ask for a no contact order at this time. Looks like the PC statement, this issue occurred about 8 o'clock in the morning, though the statement does indicate the victim was also assaulted 5 hours earlier prior in Kennewick that went unreported, at least at the time that this report was made. Due to what looks like the ongoing issue here of the assault followed by the destruction of property, at this time we are going to ask that Your Honor enter a no contact order, remain out on her PR. If Your Honor does not issue that no contact order, would ask her the condition that she not discuss the facts of this case with the alleged victim.
All right. In reviewing the affidavit of probable cause, I do see that the alleged victim did make a reference to the officer about the incident in Kennewick. He did specifically indicate he didn't want a no contact order at this time. I don't know the facts of that allegation other than the little bit he says here. So given the alleged victim's request, I'm not going to enter a no contact order at this time. Ms. Sanchez, you need to understand, however, if there are any other incidents that could change. Do you understand that?
I do.
There are conditions on your release that include the following. You're not to have any criminal violations. You're not to have any domestic violence related incidents. You're to contact your attorney within the next 10 days and maintain contact with that attorney. You're to make all your court dates. Your next court date is November 30th, 2020. You not discuss the facts in this case with the alleged victim or any witnesses. You leave that to your attorney. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
We have an address on Snow Lane in Benton City. Is that your current address?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you receive mail there?
Yes.
All right, we'll give you copies of this information as well as your attorney's contact information. Once you receive that, you are free to go. Michael Rodriguez. Good afternoon, Mr. Rodriguez. You are here today on a charge of simple assault and domestic violence. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted of that, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence. However, a conviction would result in the loss of your right to possess, own, or control a firearm unless your right was restored by a court of record. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Senator, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last name. Who are we on?
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez, thank you, Your Honor.
Michael Rodriguez.
No.
Mr. Rodriguez, you have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request a court-appointed attorney. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Probable cause has been found. I'll appoint Mr. Rutt to represent you. You did appear here today on a summons. Mr. Hanson, any additional comments regarding the conditions of release?
I don't see any requests for a no contact order.
I did not.
Let me just check real quick looks like it's not the same victim as the case that he's on a SOC or deferred sentence for. We just ask you have no new criminal law violations, no domestic incidents, make all future court dates, ask they not discuss the facts of this case with the alleged victim who appears to be a cousin or roommate.
Mr. Rodriguez, as I indicated, you will be released on your own recognizance. There are other conditions, however, they include the following. You're not to have any criminal violations or domestic violence related incidents. You're not to discuss the facts of this case with the alleged victim or any witnesses. You leave that to your attorney. Do you understand that?
Yes,
I have an address on South 26. Is that still current?
yes.
Right. We'll give your attorney's contact information, these conditions of release. Your next court date is November 30th. We'll see you then. Christopher Vanessa. You're here today on 2 charges of driving a license suspended in the 3rd degree and a charge of operating a vehicle without an ignition interlock when required. The driving a license suspended is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. The ignition interlock violation is a gross misdemeanor punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for either of these offenses. Do you understand that?
Correct.
Any questions about those rights or comments about those comments I made before I called your case?
No, Your Honor.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorneys today, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request the court appoint an attorney. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. I will appoint an attorney to represent you. That attorney's name is Matthew Rutt. We'll reset these cases to November 30th. I have an address on North 25th Place. Is that still current?
Yeah, that's correct.
will be released on the condition you have no criminal violations, do not drive without a license or insurance or properly installed ignition interlock device as required by the Department of Licensing. You make all your court dates, contact your attorney, and maintain contact. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Provide you with your attorney's contact information, the conditions of release in these cases. You do have some infractions. Do you want to set that to the same date as the other cases?
Yeah, yes, please, Your Honor. I have half of them taken care of. I just need to do the rest. 2 more.
All right, we'll set those to the same date as the criminal.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Carlos Renteria. Good afternoon, Mr. Renteria. You're here today on a charge of destruction or removal of property, domestic violence. That is a gross misdemeanor, punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory sentence if convicted. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about those rights that you have?
No, sir.
Any questions about the comments I made before calling your case?
No, sir. I did pay off the windshield that I broke.
All right, keep that information and share that with your attorney, okay?
Sir.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you indicate you wish to plead not guilty and request court-appointed counsel. Appoint Mr. Libbert to represent you. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, what if I just plead guilty? Because I did it. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm the one that broke the windshield.
The paperwork I have here says you want to plead not guilty at this point. I don't know that I'm prepared to,
The lawyer that spoke to me preferred that I plead not guilty,
but you're saying you'd rather plead guilty?
yeah, I did. I just not so scared.
You understand the potential consequences for pleading guilty to a domestic violence related offense?
I have no choice. I broke the windshield. So I made a mess for it. I paid for it. So I moved the windshield.
Whoever the provisional attorney is, if you return this to them, will you have them call or text me about the offer on this case?
All right.
They should all have my number, because I think it's just Miss Chain and Mr. Nacarado.
I'm not sure who spoke to
It was me, Your Honor. I was trying to see my notes here. Who is this again? I'm sorry.
Mr. Renteria. Mr. Hanson has asked that if I'm to return this or set this file down, that you give him a call so we can talk to you about it.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Renteria, go ahead and have a seat. Mr. Nacarado will handle this a little bit more. Okay, sir. Miriam Madrigal. We're here today on a charge, good afternoon, of shoplifting. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about those right to have, those comments I made before calling cases?
No.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney who indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request court-appointed counsel. I will enter a plea of not guilty and appoint Mr. Rudd to represent you.
Gunnar, could you tell me the defendant's name that's currently up right now?
Miriam Madrigalis?
Madrigalis?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madrigalis, I have an address on Grand Drive in Moses Lake. Is that still current?
Yes.
Ms. Madrigalis, you did appear here today on a summons, so you will be released on the following conditions. You're not to have any criminal violations. You're to contact your attorney within the next 10 days and maintain contact, make appointments as appropriate. You're not to go back to Walmart in Pasco here. Your next court date is November 30th, 2020 at 8:30. I'll give you a copy of these conditions as well as your attorney's contact information.
Thank you.
And then you can see.
Gunnar, I see Ms. Madrigalis has a no bail warrant out of Kennewick for failing to serve jail time on a theft from 2017. It looks like that warrant's been outstanding from 2018. Did the court confirm whether they would take her on that since it's a no bail, no show for jail?
I can reconfirm, but of the warrants, I confirmed this was not one of them this morning.
All right, she did confirm and they are not accepting these right now.
Yeah, the only other one, this was not.
Ms. Madrigalis, I will tell you that you currently have a warrant out of Benton County for failing to do some jail time from 2017 theft case that right now, because of COVID, I think Benton County is only taking certain types of cases. This doesn't fall under one of those, so you're going to have to contact Benton County and perhaps speak to them about that. Normally, you would go into custody right now and be transported, but as I indicated, they didn't confirm the warrant, which means they won't accept you over there, so we're not going to go into custody. But you need to be aware that you do have this warrant.
It's not my warrant, Your Honor.
It shows in the system a warrant.
It's my sister. She uses my name.
Well, it's listed in your name though.
Yeah, she uses my name, so I have to fight it.
Yeah.
The officer that had talked to me about it, so.
All right. We have some information for you from today's hearing, and we'll see you on the 30th.
All right, thanks.
Ali, is it Jallo?
Yeah.
Is that a correct pronunciation? Jallo? All right, thank you. Sir, good afternoon. You're here today on a charge of operating a vehicle without an ignition interlock device. That is a gross misdemeanor punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jallo, were you in the courtroom when I made those comments about these cases?
Maybe, I don't think so. No. We haven't brought any more people since you made the comments.
I made comments about the contacting your attorney and making your court date. Were you awake during those comments?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. You need to understand something. You're here because of a criminal charge. The attorney you're requesting can only help you if you actually make contact with them and meet with them. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So as part of your conditions of release, you're required to contact your attorney within 10 days and then maintain contact with that attorney and make appointments with that attorney. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Any questions about those rights that you have as a result of being charged with a criminal offense?
I mean, as far as the ignition lock, I was talking to my attorney, like it was from Benton County, and
Mr. DeLow, what I'm going to tell you right now is currently you're charged with that violation. If you have a possible defense, you need to talk to your attorney about that, okay? Okay. You have indicated you wish to be represented by counsel. It appears you do qualify, so we'll appoint Mr. Libbert to represent you, and we'll reset this case to November 30th. Mr. Jello, I have an address on West 19th in Kennewick. Is that still current?
yeah.
All right, you did appear on a summons today, so you will be released on the condition that you have no criminal violations, you're not to drive without a license or insurance, or if required, an ignition interlock device, make all your court dates, contact your attorney. Understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Give you your attorney's contact information as well as these conditions. I think that you may have had you have some infractions that were issued along with this case. Do you want to set that to a hearing with a criminal case?
Yeah.
All right, we'll set those matters with the criminal case as well.
Thank you.
Devin Kim. Mr. Kim, you're here today on a charge of disorderly conduct. That is a misdemeanor. If convicted, you face up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is no mandatory sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about those comments I made before I started calling cases?
No.
Any questions about the rights you have as a result of this criminal charge? Looking at your application for court-appointed counsel, you support just yourself?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll appoint Mr. Liver to represent you in this case. Enter a plea of not guilty pursuant to your conversation with the provisional attorneys. continue this case to November 30th. You will be released on the condition you have no criminal violations, take all your court dates, you stay in touch with your attorney. Understand that?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the city would ask for the additional condition that he not discuss the facts of the case or have contact with the witnesses or alleged victims in this case.
All right. Mr. Kim, I have an address on Rimrock in Richland, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. In addition, the prosecutor is asking that you not discuss the facts of this case with the alleged victim or any witnesses. You leave that up to your attorney. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll give you a copy of these conditions release and your attorney's contact information. Once you receive that, you can step down. Sierra Hernandez. Good afternoon. Ms. Hernandez, you're here today on a charge of shoplifting and unlawful conduct, possession of drug paraphernalia. Those are criminal violations. The shoplifting is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted, you face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You have any questions about those rights that were played before court started?
No.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney today, and after doing so, you've handed forward this statement of defendant on plea of guilty. Have you talked about the provisional attorney or talked to the provisional attorney about this case today?
Yes, sir.
This document, this one-page statement of defendant on plea of guilty has has initials in two places. Did you place these initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And that indicates that you've read both the rights and the consequences and the potential immigration consequences for such a conviction? There's also a signature here. Did you place the signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
Did you do that to indicate you reviewed this with Mr. Nacarado and you're doing this voluntarily today?
Yes, sir.
Did you read this statement of defendant on plea of guilty, or did Mr. Nacarado read it to you?
I read it. He read it to me, sorry.
You understand the recommendation that's made today is just that. It's a recommendation. I'm not required to follow that recommendation. If you plead guilty today, you do face up to 364 days in jail. Understand that? Pardon me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Other than that recommendation, has anybody made any promises or threats to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
To the charge of shoplifting, a crime which was committed on or about October 1, 2020 in the city of Pasco. How do you plead guilty or not guilty?
I'm guilty, Your Honor.
Your statement is that on or about that date in Pasco, Washington, I did take items of property from the Albertson store without paying for them and with the intent to deprive the store of possession of those items. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, sir.
Those items were items offered for sale, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Accept your plea of guilty, you find there's a factual basis for the plea. I will dismiss count 2 pursuant to the plea negotiation. Mr. Hernandez, you do have a right to address the court before any sentence is imposed. Is there anything you would like to say?
Your Honor, I think you'd ask me to maybe address this with the court. We had talked about this. It may not be reflected on the JMS, but apparently she had an older Benton County case that was on some sort of deferred sentence that was recently revoked. She advises me that she's supposed to report on Saturday for a 90-day commitment. Told her generally, assuming that Benton County everything goes okay with good time, that'll probably result in about 60 days. So she was just concerned about maybe asking for a later report date, or if the court and or in this case maybe the city be willing to allow her to run that concurrent. With that, I told her I didn't see a problem with the court maybe allowing a later report date, if not concurrent, but given the number of days, it was certainly possible. So she just wanted to make the court aware of that, that she will be serving a commitment starting on Saturday.
And that's starting this Saturday.
That's
Yes,
what
Your
I'm saying,
Honor.
right?
Your Honor, the city would ask that it run consecutive to any other sentence. We have no objection to a later than usual report date, just ask that the judgment and sentence reflect 30 days suspended. That way there's sufficient incentive for Ms. Hernandez to return to serve her 10 days. I'm not sure if it was reflected on there. I don't recall hearing Your Honor say we were requesting forfeiture of the paraphernalia that was seized during this
All right,
incident.
and I will indicate that.
Okay. And I had just addressed that last comment by the city, Your Honor, about what could potentially happen if she didn't report, and if she understands what the city was representing there. Or speaking what the city was requesting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nakarada.
So I did get enough by like,
Presumably start on this Saturday, so the 31st. It could do November and December, so, but yeah, so it'll probably take a day later in January.
okay.
All right. Ms. Hernandez, are you working?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at a gas station.
Do you support anybody besides yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you support?
My 2 kids.
Is there any other income to the household?
I only get food stamps.
Mr. Hernandez, this is not a new thing for you. This is in the last 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that doesn't count all the number of prior incidents before the last 5 years. How old are your kids? This isn't setting a very good example for them. I mean, you're a relatively young individual and you've had 99 contacts with law enforcement over your history. Is this something you want your kids to encourage your kids to do and do? Is this what you aspire for them to be? I'm going to give you some time to do that 10 days in jail. And I'm going to be honest with you, Ms. Hernandez, given your history, had the prosecutor asked for 60 days in jail, I'd have given. You've got to make whatever changes you believe are necessary to change the path you're on.
when it's studying for treatment and, I mean, trying to do better. I never had was treatment by myself, so I mean, I have a letter for my treatment. Counselor, I don't know if you want to see it.
You're engaged in treatment right now?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm gonna give you until January 29th
Yes.
at 6 p.m.
Yes.
to report for this jail time.
Yes.
A failure to report at that time will result in a warrant. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine in the amount of $150. A monitoring assessment of $50. A jail assessment of, just a portion of that, $250, and a $43 criminal conviction fee. Set payments at $25 a month, and I'll start those on February 28th, 2021. The paraphernalia that was seized is forfeit. Not to go back to Albertsons, do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
I didn't say is 90 days in jail with 80 days suspended for a total of 10 days to serve beginning on January 29th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Give you copies of these documents. That'll conclude your case here today. Once you receive those, you can step down. Stephen Garcia. Good afternoon, Mr. Garcia. You are here today on a charge of simple assault, domestic violence, and interfering with the report of domestic violence. Both of those are gross misdemeanors, punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There's no mandatory minimum sentence if convicted. However, conviction would result in a loss of the right to possess, own, or control a firearm unless the right is restored by a court of record. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about those comments or remarks I made before I called cases today?
No, sir.
I've had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, he's indicated he wished to plead not guilty and request the court appoint an attorney. I will enter a plea of not guilty and will appoint Mr. Libbert to represent you. Mr. Hanson, any comments regarding conditions of release?
Just one moment. You are still working through the PC statement really quick. Your Honor, I don't see it listed, at least in the PC statement, where Ms. Lopez specifically asked for a no contact order. But when there's allegations of interfering with calling 911, as well as Mr. Garcia's significant domestic violence history from 2017 and 2011, I think those may be different alleged victims. The ongoing pattern of domestic violence violations, there's concern for the safety of the victim in this case. So we would ask that Your Honor issue a no contact order in this case. He does have some warrant history, but he did show up for court today. Certainly he would have, I'd assume, on a Spokane conditions not to have new criminal law violations. But if Your Honor does issue the no contact order, that should be sufficient for conditions of release on this case.
Mr. Garcia, Mr. Hansen is requesting a no contact order in this place, in this case. Mr.
I was going to spoke to Mr. Garcia and I addressed that was certainly a possibility, but just wanted to let the court know that certainly this allegation was back in September. Mr. Garcia wasn't present ultimately when the police arrived, so he was never arrested. He's obviously appearing by summons, and certainly my understanding is that since this incident, the parties have been together, which often happens in these cases where somebody's not initially arrested, but then a complaint is filed and then they respond. In the interim, generally the parties have been together. You know, the way I reviewed the PC statement, I think the real issue was kind of between he and his mother, who doesn't reside with, I think Lopez in the court acknowledged obviously an argument that she may, fallen over some shoes or something trying to get by Mr. Garcia, but certainly there was anything physical between the two of them. My understanding is that while there's some other children in the household, that maybe Lopez, that they have, the parties together have a new child, a small child together, is about 9 months old. Mr. Lopez Garcia is the primary provider in terms of his employment. Lamb Weston. So it's one of those scenarios where in the 6 weeks in the interim, they've been together with no incidents. And again, I just told them procedurally, that's what the city asked for, and that we would at least address that on the record. And that was certainly a possibility here, but again, that's often what happens when, again, nobody's initially arrested, and then complaints filed, and then there's a period of time that goes by in between where the parties have been still together, and then they show up to court and then potentially have to deal with the no contact order. So other than that, I'll defer to the court on that issue, Your Honor.
I have reviewed the affidavit of probable cause, and I don't see that in this case the alleged victim, Miss Alexis Lopez, is requesting the no contact order. She indicates to the officer that in his attempt to get the phone from the reporting party, that he pushed past her, which caused her to stumble over the shoes and fall because she was on crutches. I do see, Mr. Garcia, that you have some domestic violence related history that includes destruction of property, some amended assault charges, as well as a conviction following a deferral. On that, you have some other pending charges here. So I'm not going to issue the no contact order, but if there are any incidents, any violations of the conditions of release here, that could change. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
You did appear here today on a summons, so you will be released. I'm going to appoint Mr. Libbert to represent you. Your next court date is November 30th. There are conditions on your release that include the following. You're to contact your attorney within 10 days and maintain contact with your attorney. You're not to have any criminal violations. You're not to have any domestic violence related incidents. You're not to discuss this case with the alleged victim or any witnesses. You leave that to your attorney. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Are you still at the Chapel Hill Boulevard address?
Yes, sir. I have a different mailing address, so,
You have a different mailing address?
yeah, because I can't get to my mailbox right
What is your mailing address?
2425 West Bruno Avenue, Kennewick, Washington. And Your Honor,
Is
that's,
that 99336?
yes, and also, Your Honor, that's BRUNEAU.
Yes. All right, we will give you your attorney's contact information as well as these conditions of release. Once you receive those, you can step down. Mr. Renteria? I don't see any different paperwork in the file, Mr. Renteria, so I assume after speaking to Mr. Nacarado, we'll move forward with a plea of not guilty, and you can discuss this case with a court-appointed attorney, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, we did go through this initially. Any questions about those rights or those comments I made, Mr. Renteria?
No, sir.
Is your current address on West Agate?
Yes, sir.
Renteria, you did appear here today on a summons, so you will be released. Not to have any criminal violations or incidents, not to have any domestic violence related incidents. Contact your attorney and maintain contact with your attorney. Make all your court dates. Your next court date is November 30th, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You're welcome. All right, a couple of remarks before I call the balance of the cases in the courtroom today. Each of you are here because you've been charged with a criminal violation. Pasco Municipal Court deals with two types of violations, misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors. Misdemeanors are punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. A gross misdemeanor is punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. You each have a number of constitutional rights as a result of these charges that were played in the video before court started. When I call you a case, I'll confirm that you were able to hear and understand those. If you are requesting court-appointed counsel today, or whether you're hiring an attorney, one of the conditions of release will be that you contact your attorney and maintain contact with that attorney as long as this case is pending. It's a condition of release, so it means that it's important that you do that. Your attorney cannot assist you if you don't meet with them about these cases. If you are here for a driving offense and there are some infractions that were issued along with the driving offense, we can set those over to the hearing with the criminal case for a future date. Or if you want to resolve it today, you can resolve it today. I'm only giving you that opportunity because it appears that many times individuals forget to deal with those once the criminal case is working its way through the system. So with those remarks, I'll call first Omar Hernandez Garcia. Mr. Hernandez Garcia, good afternoon. Any questions about those comments or those rights that you have as a result of this charge?
No, Your Honor.
In your particular case, this is a misdemeanor. There is a mandatory minimum of 1 day in jail if convicted of this offense. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
After having your rights and speaking to the provisional attorney, you handed forward this agreed stipulation in order of continuance. Did you go over this with the attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand the rights you're giving up by entering into this agreement today?
Yes.
Specifically, under this contract with the prosecuting attorney, you agree to have no alcohol or have an alcohol substance abuse assessment, follow the recommendation. You're not to use, consume, or possess any alcohol, marijuana, or non-prescribed drugs, pay the cost of $200 and have no criminal violations. You understand that in waiving the rights that are you have in this criminal case, that if you are removed from this or this agreement is revoked, there will be no jury trial. What would happen is a judge will read the police reports and make a determination of either guilty or not guilty based on the reports and nothing else. If this agreement is revoked, you cannot later say, well, I wanted a trial, or I have some evidence, or I want to question the witnesses, because you're giving those rights up today. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you enter into this agreement voluntarily? Did you do this of your own free will?
Yes.
You understand that at the end of 24 months, if you have successfully completed this agreement, this matter would be dismissed.
Yes.
I'm going to sign the order continuing this case. We are going to set a review date for October 25, 2022 at 8:30 in the morning. That review date is contained in this document. You will not receive any other notice. It is important that you maintain a current address with the court. However, because if it is necessary to set a hearing of some kind, we would send you notice, and a failure to appear could result in a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you still on the West J Street address?
Yes.
That's in Pasco, correct?
Yes.
I only asked that because the officer wrote Pasadena Park on the citation. With regard to the costs in this case, the $200, I see there's already been filled in here that you'll pay $25 a month beginning on November 27th, 2020, that the marijuana in this case has been forfeited. You do need to understand, Mr. Hernandez Garcia, that there will be nobody monitoring you or calling you to remind you to, one, make the payments, or two, have the evaluation. So it would be entirely your responsibility to remember to do those things. From my experience, a lot of people leave court on the day they enter these agreements thinking, I have 2 years, I'll do this later. later comes and goes, and then you're back in court and you tried too late to get some things done. So don't fall in that trap. If you're actually going to do this, get moving on it quickly, okay? You will be required to show proof to the prosecutor of the things that you've done that show you complied with this agreement. You don't have to file them with the court, you have to give them to the prosecutor, okay? Do you have any questions about that?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Hanson, it's 410 North Neal?
Yes, Your Honor. Suite A.
On the prosecutor's signature line, Mr. Hernandez, I've written their address so that you can keep them advised of your progress on the agreement. When or if you do provide information to them, be sure you include the case number, which is that XZ number on these documents, okay?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, we'll give you copies of this. That will conclude your case today, and you'll be free to go.
I do believe there was an infraction.
Was there an infraction?
Your Honor, there was a defective license plate lamp. We will dismiss that as part of entry.
All right.
And that's under cause number 836.
We'll dismiss the infraction to defective brake light, okay? That's cause number ending in 836. That takes care of that today as well, all right?
Thank you.
That concludes your case. You're free to go.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Alicia Gonzalez. Good afternoon, Ms. Gonzalez. You're here today on a shoplifting charge. That is a gross misdemeanor. Any questions about those comments I made before I called cases?
No.
Ms. Gonzalez, you are also, or have also handed forward this agreed stipulation in order of continuance. Were you able to hear those comments that I made to Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about your rights and responsibilities under this case?
No.
Did you enter into this agreement voluntarily?
Yes.
And you do understand that if you are removed or this agreement is revoked, the only thing that happens is a judge reviews the police reports and makes a determination of either guilty or not guilty based on the reports and nothing else. You understand that? And that you are waiving those other rights and you cannot later assert them. You understand that?
Yes.
I'm going to set this for a review hearing on October 25, 2022. I have an address on Alderwood Drive. Is that a correct address?
No.
What is your current address?
I'd like to use my mom's address because my lease is gonna come up soon, so.
What is your mom's address?
806 South Grand Drive, Moses Lake, Washington.
That's Miss Monroe.
Yeah.
It is important to maintain a current address with the court because a failure to appear at any hearings in the future could result in a warrant for your arrest. You will not receive any other notice of this review hearing, but if it is necessary to set some other hearing, we would send you notice. The conditions of this are that you stay away from all Walmart stores, have no criminal violations, attend the theft awareness class, that's an online class, and show completion of that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And you're asked to pay $30 a month beginning on October 28th?
Yes.
All right.
And where do I make that deposit?
We'll give you some information. You can mail in a payment as well. You don't have to appear in person. I'm actually going to make your first payment due on November 28th, just so that you have some time
Oh, okay, thank
to
you.
mail that in. I'm sure you're fully aware of your mom's history and the trouble that she's had. This looks like a first violation for you. It's not, there not be a second.
Yeah.
Right, Wayne Woodard. Mr. Woodard, you're here today on a couple of different charges: an unlawful trespass in the second degree, operating a vehicle without an ignition interlock, and a shoplifting charge. The last two, the ignition interlock and shoplifting, are gross misdemeanors, and the first is a misdemeanor. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for any of these offenses. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions or comments about those comments I made before calling cases this afternoon?
No.
You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing that, you indicate you wish to plead not guilty and request the court appoint an attorney. I will appoint Mr. Libbert to represent you on these cases. We'll reset them to November 30th. I have an address on North Road 84. Is that still correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, as you're getting to it, as a condition of release, the city's going to ask that he be trespassed from all Walmarts while this case is pending and not consume any alcohol or non-prescribed drugs.
All right, as a condition as well, Mr. Hanson is asking that you not return to any Walmarts.
Okay.
And that you not consume any alcohol, marijuana, or non-prescribed drugs. or to submit to a test if requested by an officer as reason to believe you presume the same. Not to drive without an ignition interlock if required as well. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
What's that? Over file. No, she's been out there working on that Benton County warrant, and she's on the phone with them, and they're telling her she's got nothing. So she wants to know if she can get like a case number or something, to see if we can help her out, trying to figure out what's going on.
We'll provide you with your attorney's contact information. You are required to contact him within the next 10 days and maintain contact with that attorney, as well as make appointments with that attorney.
Okay.
So that he can assist you on these cases. Give you some paperwork, and that will conclude.
Gonzalez?
What's that? Madrigal.
Oh, Gonzalez.
Yes.
She wanted to know if you could give her that case number. She was calling Benton County, and they're saying, no, you have nothing.
Is
Oh, I'll write it down. You're free to leave, sir.
What's my attorney, please?
you're free to go.
It's on the piece of paper.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
As well. Yeah.
No, because the court's still going.
Yeah, you can, because we just.
Did you tell the judge about them? Yes. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, go ahead and look up.
Because they're not cooperating. They're,
Do you want to? Do we need to be on record for this? He's still got more cases. Oh, he's doing the FTAs. Sorry, but he's checking on this one.
And while you check on that, sorry if I step off camera for just a moment.
yes. Off back up to Mr. Woodard's case. Trying to get back to.
The computer's not being cooperative.
John, do you have the printouts of the warrants? If I could grab the case.
She's been sitting out in the hallway feverishly trying to get this taken care of, and he's getting nowhere over there with them, so.
Well, it might not surprise me either, because I know in the past that, that county is not always consistent with clearing their warrants. Here it is. It's a theft conviction from October 20th, 2017. And it's a Kennewick case number K72552.
K72552.
Yes,
Okay, from October 20th, 2017, Benton County.
yes.
Theft.
That's why she might need to be calling it KPD. Because it sounds like that's a KPD warrant.
It is, but if it's a, if it's, Mr. Hanson indicated it was a failure.
To do jail time.
Failure to do jail time. Let's see, this says.
we'll see you next week. Yeah.
And my clerk actually ran it through the Pasco Police Department and it comes back with no. But there is, the last notations in on the docket indicate that a warrant was issued on June 1st, 2018 because there was a no-show for jail. So that warrant is still reported across the state.
Okay. Because, yeah, Your Honor, it's not me, it's my sister. She's used my name a lot of times. And I've had to take her to court for identity theft and stuff.
Well, as I indicated, this is under your name currently.
Yeah, she does use mine.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Liz called.
thank you, Ms. Chang. I think we recently appointed you on a conflict case. And so we're not using you for anything except actual conflicts. So when everybody else on the panel is unavailable, I think that's the only reason we've been appointing you.
No problem, Your Honor.
Okay.
And just to let you know, I looked at that, I received the appointment sheet today, earlier in the morning, and I just looked it up on Jabs. I'm not sure if I represent the alleged victim over in Benton County for child support. I've sent an email to my secretary just now to ask if we still represent him or not, but it may be possible that I actually represent the alleged victim on a different matter over in Benton County side.
Let us know as soon as you can if that's the case, because we actually do have one other option, so if you would take that option.
I will do that. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ms. Chang.
Have a good evening, everyone.
You as well.
He wants to.
All right,
Take that and grab it.
Mr. Hanson, just for the record, with regard to the mitigation cases, where you typically would sign those requests or those orders, my clerk just wrote your name in on the line on those orders. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. That works for the city.
All right. And for the record, prior to beginning this docket, there were a number of cases in which the city attorney made an offer to amend to an infraction. The following people accepted that and signed agreements to make payments on the fine that was imposed. So Shaughnessy Sullivan, Alexis Arnoldo Araujo Serrano, Arturo Esparza, Emily Espejo, Dolores Galindo, Israel Garcia, Joe Garza, Jonathan Gerardo, Sherry Gibbons, Yamil Hernandez, Juan Larios, Jacqueline Lowe, Daniel Maldonado, America Montano, and Marcelino Ramirez Miranda are the infraction cases. Then just go down through the cases. We have a number of FTAs as well. Andrea Scott, Ms. Scott failed to appear. A warrant was issued on September 14th, or ordered on the 9th, issued on September 14th. She posted bail and was given a copy of today's hearing.
Your Honor, I see from the CDK notes, she called indicating she was ill and would not be able to make it back to court today. Because she did reach out to the court, city would have no objection if Your Honor is going to reset with notice.
Yes, I see that. She has done that, and actually, I think, there's an agreement to reset this to November 24th. I just think we'll have to make this change, because it says it was served, it'll have to be mailed, I think.
I believe either Philip or Chad wrote that.
Oh, they give her this?
Yes.
Oh, that's correct. All right, I do recall, Mr. Green did approach me before the docket, indicate that there was an individual indicating she was feeling ill, has been checked, hasn't received the results yet, but she was allowed to leave. I think that was Miss Scott. So she was given notice for November 24th. This was at 1, though. I would have told them just to do it on the Tuesday morning regular docket.
I can resend notice if you'd like, Your Honor.
There's no sense in her coming to the arraignment or just docket
Okay.
for really.
So for 8:30.
So for 8:30, yes. Send her a notice for 8:30 instead of 1. Joshua Alanis. There is no response today. Like it has been about a year since his last violation.
Said you'd have no objection to noting the FTA resetting one time. Looks like it's been almost 8 years since a warrant's been issued for him.
We'll reset notice. Noya Ayala. There is no response. It would indicate there's nobody in the hall and there's nobody in the courtroom. It's now 4:25. Probable cause was found previously. He's not present. We'll reset one time with notice. Note his failure to appear. William Bagley. We did send notice. It was to a general delivery that's been returned undelivered. We have no good address for Mr. Bagley. He's failed to appear today.
Your Honor, based on that record and his warrant history, as well as his history with trespassing on this particular property, the city would ask for a bench warrant in the amount of $250 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. Angel Beltran. It's a destruction or removal of property in violation of Pasco Municipal Court order. There's no response. Notice was returned.
Just waiting for jabs to load, Your Honor.
Send it to make multiple attempts.
Your Honor, it looks like he's set to be in court with us November 2nd for a pretrial. Did he ever, and he might be in custody. I see on October 19th it indicated he was incarcerated on Superior Court matters. I don't
He's
see
scheduled
him
for
listed.
which date? Second.
November 2nd, yes, Your Honor. It looks like he was being held, but I don't see him listed on the jail roster as of today.
And I would say reset it with notice, but I don't have a good address for him. Let me see if there's.
Though it's unorthodox, is it possible just to put it on or have it track that November 2nd date? He currently has, let's see, Mr. Rutt appointed on all those.
We'll reset this to that 11:02 a.m. Docket with his other cases.
Do you want me to still calendar this as an arraignment?
Calendar as an arraignment, please, yes. Terry Boyle. This is another general delivery address. Failure to appear. There is an outstanding Benton County warrant for the same violation.
Looks like he has several Superior Court probation warrants as well. City had asked you not the FTA issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant. $500 cash or bond for these two violations. Brittany Carlton. There was a medical crisis for Ms. Carlton. A warrant that was previously issued in September was quashed and was reset to today's date. We asked for a current address. The address that they provided was and came back, returned to sender, not deliverable as addressed, unable to forward.
Yeah, Ms. Carlton has several outstanding bench warrants. It looks like probation cases, but bench warrants nonetheless out of Franklin Superior, and looks like a Pasco DUI probation bench warrant. So we would ask you note the FTA issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond on this case.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Miguel Angel Carrillo Hinojosa.
Your Honor, Mr. Carrillo Hinojosa has pretty notorious bench warrant history out of municipal court. He is, I believe, still on conditions of release on his pending cases. We'll have to review the address in question to figure out whether or not his father still lives at that address. If so, the city will be amending this to add a count of no contact order violation. But based on his bench warrant history, we'd ask you note the FTA issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
And he has 1, 2, 3 active warrants out of Franklin County and a probation violation out of this court. Issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond. Kayla Guzman. Response today. Some active warrants out of Benton County.
And are given her pending warrants, city'd ask you note the FTA. Looks like also a Yakima Superior Court warrant and a Franklin County Superior Court warrant, both for pending charges. So we'd ask you note the FTA issue bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond. Teresa Fox. No response today.
Your Honor, Ms. Fox has fairly extensive warrant history over the last 2 years. Based on that warrant history on what looks like every case except for one theft, we'd ask you note the FTA issue bench warrant, $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant. Say $500 cash or bond, Mr.
Yes, Your Honor. Looks like the only reason she wasn't booked in on this incident, all those warrants were outstanding, was because the jail wasn't accepting at that time.
Issue a bench warrant for $500 cash and bond. Alex Flores. Sent notice to both his Hermiston address and the Williams Street, Kennewick address. They were returned, unable to forward.
Based on an inability to contact the defendant because of that return mail, then we'd ask, that the FTA issue bench warrant, $250 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. Stephen Flores Garcia. Mailed the notice to both a general delivery address as well as a address on North Second. No response.
Return to the court, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
Asking, were those returned as non-deliverable?
Yes, the one to the general delivery was not returned, but the one to the North Second address is returned, not deliverable as addressed, unable to forward.
Your Honor, based on his warrant history, not a current address for him, we'd ask for a warrant in the amount of $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Ricky Cruz. There's not a lot of current. That has failed to appear. Looks like the notice was not returned. Not sure which address is.
City wouldn't object on this case to knowing the FTA resetting one time, since it has been a few years since he's had warrants issued. If he doesn't come to the next court date, so you'd certainly ask for a warrant at that time.
Sent with notice. Graceland Matthew. Notice was mailed to a Richland address. It came back. However, it was remailed to a Pasco address that is listed in the police report as her current address. That notice does not appear that it returned.
Based on
Outstanding.
Sorry about that. Based on our 2 outstanding warrants out of Benton County District Court, city had asked, if the FTA issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant. $1,000 cash or bond. Luis Lopez. Has failed to appear today. It's like there are a couple of warrants out of Othello District Court.
Your Honor, based on Mr. Lopez's extensive warrant history, including those 2 active warrants, city had asked, the FTA issued bench warrant $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Jesus Lopez Jr. has failed to appear today. He has some warrants out of Benton County, Franklin County.
Your Honor, based on the active bench warrants as well as what appears to be pretty bad 2020 history, we're going to ask, the FTA issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond. Nicholas Lewis. Has failed to appear today. It looks like a notice was not returned from either the Yakima Fruitvale address or the general delivery.
Your Honor, it looks like he has 2 outstanding Superior Court warrants out of Franklin County Superior Court. Based on those active warrants, as well as 2019 bench warrant history, so he's going to ask, the FTA issue bench warrant $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Russell. He has failed to appear today. We did send notice to his Kennewick address. There's not a whole lot of
Yeah, based on the nature of the offense, the city would have no objection to noting the FTA resetting.
reset with notice. Ryan Meldrum. It's a violation of the Pasco Municipal order. No response today. Order was issued, it looks like just in July. This is a domestic violence related offense.
He does have a pretrial set for December 7th with Mr. Rutt. I'm guessing, do you know, does the court check to see if there's updated addresses on that that he provided there?
It looks like we don't have any current
I'd imagine the clerks would update the PER screen if they receive a different address.
This is what I'm going to, I read the affidavit of probable cause on this one. It appears that he gets notified that she is dragging his things from the apartment to the dumpster and throwing everything away. And he went over to, it looks like, to recover the items from the dumpster. The dumpster was within 500 feet. Although I do find probable cause because it is a violation, I think this is one I would feel comfortable resetting to that December date as well.
No objection based on those facts, Your Honor.
December.
Is that I think that was the 7th, is that what you said?
Yes, Your Honor. It's set for December 7th with Mr. Rutt.
And still calendar, this is an event.
Yes. And I can ask my clerk when we get back to the office to check for an updated address. I don't know if the Torbett Street in Richland is the current one or not, but prior to that, the Chapel Hill was his address, and that's the alleged victim's address. Yaroslav Matlaga.
Sorry, Your Honor, what was that last name?
Matlaga. An ignition interlock violation. This appears to be an individual out of Moses Lake, not present. Will be sat on time with notice. Looks like he's on a deferred prosecution out of that's not Grant County, that's Douglas County District Court. Yader Martinez. Notice was mailed. It appears there's a lot of history regarding theft just since November of last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That doesn't count the identity theft or if there are any felonies charged as well. Yeah, there's a burglary from 2019.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm familiar with this individual. I believe we did a felony referral because there's a common scheme or plan where he goes up with items and he, though not this time, often implements with his children, runs a card that declines, has his children walk out with the item, and then they leave. This one, it looks like he did the same thing with the card and then just ran out with the drill based on his outstanding warrants, how many shoplifts he's had over the last 12 months. We're going to ask for a $5,000 bench warrant on this case.
Issue a bench warrant of $5,000 cash or bond. Enoch Manuel.
It looks like he failed to appear in July, though he called to state it was due to medical reasons.
Reset that to September, or excuse me, he did subsequently appear after failing to appear for arraignment in July. We reset to today's date and he was given notice for today's date. Oh, this is unusual. Do you know, are we using this versus, it seems like when we give notice at the window, they always have them sign the promise to appear. I do know that we have sometimes just given notice and not had them sign.
Usually if they come to the window, we do a promise to appear.
Yeah.
And that's the notice he was given when he came to the window.
That's what, this is the only notice in here. We didn't quash the warrant, I see.
Your Honor, the city wasn't privy to whatever his medical condition is. Looks like he emailed that to the court. So whether or not Your Honor issues a warrant, I'll leave that to the court's discretion in this case.
In July, he sent a picture from his cell phone of a proof that he had been tested and was awaiting the results, and was indicated he could not return to work until the test results were returned. I'm not sure how we got him notice. It's a little bit unclear. So I'm going to reset this one more time and we'll send notice. Notice failure to appear. Alejandro Vasquez. Has failed to appear today. This is a concealed weapon violation. Looks like there's an outstanding warrant in Benton County for theft.
It's also a Benton County Superior Court warrant, Your Honor. Based on the outstanding warrants, nature of the charge, we'd ask you note the FTA issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash. Marion Tate. There's no response today. Mr. Tate does have some history. There's no current warrants. It looks like the last warrant was in 2017.
Your Honor, city has no objection in knowing the FTA resetting one time.
Note has been to appear and reset with notice. All right, that looks like that's the last case. Mr. Hanson, we'll go off the record. With regard to our serial shoplifter from Moses Lake, we had a report dated in January. I've been having the jail turn a lot of people away recently from serving any jail time that didn't have anything to do with domestic violence or DUI, so we probably set most of those out in court sometime in the end of January, if we get any resolutions over the next couple of weeks, just so you're aware.
Your Honor, we are off the record now, right?
Yeah, we're on the record.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
Are we still streaming? Is there a way to stop that, or?
we can.
Uh,